Hi everyone, this is Barb Mangami, also known as Coach B. How is everyone doing today? Happy Saturday. I hope everybody's having a great day wherever you are. I thought I'd hop on really quickly and continue with our self-mastery series, talking about setting boundaries, creating healthy boundaries. And first and foremost, let's define boundaries, shall we? Boundaries are the space that you create between you and another person or a group of people in order to maintain good mental health and well-being. Boundaries are very important for your emotional integrity and your mental well-being, as well as being important for you forging and establishing your own identity. Now, children generally, when they are younger, do not know the difference between themselves and their mother. What does that mean? That means they don't know where they end and where their mother begins. So in essence, when babies are in their mother's arms or on their mother's chest, they experience their mother as so much a part of themselves. And I'll talk a little bit about this later on in another series when we look at the mother wound. But I just wanted to talk about the importance of establishing boundaries and also look at some of the things that make it very hard, especially for women, to create and to set boundaries. I know we've talked about the whole idea of being a codependent person, and that kind of ties in with the whole issue of setting boundaries. But really, boundaries are important because if you are to become your best self, if you are to become the woman that you are meant to be, you're going to need to learn how to set boundaries and to learn how to make sure that there are consequences when your boundaries are crossed. Because the point of setting boundaries is lost if people can still just do whatever it is they like, be it with your time, be it with your physical space, be it with your emotional energy. You need to be very careful that there are consequences that follow people who do what? Who breach your boundaries. So let's first start, for example, what does that look like? What does a healthy boundary look like? I think a lot of people really would benefit from some examples of what healthy boundaries look like. So here is the thing. One thing you have to remember is that there needs to be a boundary between you and your intimate partner. There need to be boundaries that are put in place. Basically, these boundaries safeguard your emotional health. So in any relationship or action with someone, you have to always posit yourself as the first. You are the primary. Never mind what anyone else around you is doing, but the question you need to ask yourself is, what is it that I want, right? What is it that I want? And when you establish whatever it is you want, then it's your responsibility to communicate this. So for example, you might be the person who's exhausted after work and you want some quiet time after work. Or you might be like me, the person who first thing in the morning, I really don't want to talk to anyone because I want to be quiet. I want to commune with spirit. I want to center myself for the day. Then you have to create a boundary. That means you have to inform your partner that when you come home after work, you don't say, don't disturb me after work, okay? No. The key is in how you communicate. Look, I need an hour totally by myself. When I come in the door, I say hi. Please, can I just I need an hour to de-stress, decompress, and sort of calm down, get rid of everything that the day has put on me. Then what needs to happen is your partner needs to respect that. If your partner does not respect that, then you need to bring it up and say, look, I did ask that I needed this time. And if that continues, that is a sign of disrespect. Because people who care about you will respect certain boundaries. All you've asked for is for an hour after work. All I ask for is an hour, 2 hours in the morning for myself, right? So you set these boundaries with the people in your life. For example, if I'm working like this, their boundaries set. My children know that they're not going to run in here screaming and shouting because I'm working. I am sitting here doing something, right? They know not to breach that boundary because there are consequences that follow that if they do. I warn you once, I warn you twice, and then the third time, it's on with the consequence. These boundaries are important. Boundaries are important between teachers and students. They keep the student safe, but they also keep the teacher safe, right? Therapists and coaches need to create boundaries, because if you don't, then you start getting burnt out. So here's the thing that can tell you whether your boundaries are being crossed. Some people are like, I've never set boundaries. I don't know anything about boundaries. And I'm one of those people that come from a culture where that word doesn't even exist, right? That idea that as a woman you set boundaries for yourself, that doesn't exist, right? It's almost like you're a borderless country. Everybody comes in and out with their issues, in and out whenever it is they want 24/7. The idea of setting boundaries is not an idea that I ever grew up with. And I didn't understand it, and I had to learn it for my own mental health and well-being. So what is this thing? Okay, so you set these boundaries, right? You communicate to people that you set these boundaries, and then you set the consequences. So, okay, for somebody who has no experience, even what I've said, but what is a boundary? Here's how you know that you need to set boundaries, right? Some people are like, how do I know I need to set boundaries? Here's how you know. First and foremost, are you getting resentful? Are you getting stressed out? Are you getting burnt out? Those are 3 things you can use. When you start to feel resentful about something, and you're resentful towards someone who's doing something over and over again, when you start to feel burnt out, like literally physically exhausted, when you start to feel even some mental instability, you know that there are boundaries you need to put in place. And you can sit with yourself in a notebook and literally jot down, like, okay, sometimes you need to do that to center yourself and find out, why am I feeling resentful? Why am I feeling this way? And you will tease out that actually it's because I really don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Now, you have every right, I repeat, every human being on this planet has the right to say no to the things they don't want to do. And you don't need to over-explain yourself. Part of setting a boundary is you don't have to justify your boundary to anyone. It doesn't work for you to do things a certain way. And whoever you're communicating with needs to understand just that. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to try to over-explain it. You set your boundary very simply. When that boundary is crossed, no. A simple no. You don't even need to explain why. Because you've already communicated to this person what it is you need. So for example, my girls know that when I'm working, I don't get disturbed, and I've explained to them why. So if somebody comes to the door, I might just lift my hand just like that. And that means it doesn't matter what you want to tell me. It doesn't matter what it is. This boundary is a fixed boundary. This is how you set boundaries around yourself so that you can grow yourself and develop yourself and heal yourself to becoming the best person that you can possibly be. If you don't have those boundaries, people will tread on you. And let me tell you something. People don't know what they don't know. And so your resentment towards people who are crossing boundaries is not fair on the people who are crossing boundaries, especially if you've never told them. So somebody thinks they can call you at 4 o'clock in the morning because you know what? They assume that you're at their beck and call, right? They assume that you have that kind of a relationship. Unless you communicate to somebody that I am not available, and this is why office hours are important for therapists, coaches, whatever it is you do, set office hours. So that people know when they can access you, when you are available for them. And then the rest of the time, if people try to access you, make yourself inaccessible. But to continue, say, picking up the phone at 4 o'clock in the morning, do you see what's happening? You're going to lose sleep. Then you're going to start resenting that person. And then you're going to suffer burnout. You also have to realize that setting boundaries can be a physical thing, just like I've said with the kids, but it can also be an emotional thing. Sometimes in a workplace situation, a colleague needs to understand that you're my colleague and not my friend. And therefore, they do not have the right to your emotions or your time. Because those are the two things when it comes to boundary setting that really get lost for a lot of people. Other than your health suffering, but the idea that you can spend an inordinate amount of time talking or listening to somebody. And they don't know that this is not what this is about. If you don't tell them and you sit there and you listen, they're going to keep pouring it out. And they're going to expect your emotional response. And so if you give it and you give it, they will take it and they'll take it. You have to set those boundaries the minute you start to see something happening that you know you're going to resent, or you know you're not about that. I'm not your friend. Don't do this. The thing to do is, you know what? I understand that you need somebody to talk to, but I don't think I'm the right person for what you're going through. Perhaps you might want to seek the counsel of a therapist, or you might want to talk to a pastor. You might want to talk to whoever, right? You're directing the person to the right place in a very constructive manner. But let me tell you what happens when you let resentment build up and build up and build up. That's when you explode. And then that is not self-mastery, because now you are reacting from an emotional place instead of having responded from a very clear and rational place. And at the same time, you're setting those boundaries. When you tell that coworker that coworker now knows that, oh, okay. And if that coworker insists, that's when you can literally, do you have time? No, actually, I don't. You don't even have to explain why you don't have time. Oh, you know, I have this problem going on. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I'm really busy right now. I cannot listen to you. You have the right to do that. And you need to do that. So I know that for a lot of people, this might be a foreign thing, this whole boundary setting. But believe you me, if you don't have boundaries set up in your life, you're probably exhausted. You're probably full of resentment and anger. You're probably disgruntled. You're probably fed up right now. And let me tell you something, you deserve peace in your life. Your life is yours. Do you understand that? Yes, you live your life in community and in communion with other people, but ultimately, your life is yours. Make the decisions that are best for you, first and foremost. That doesn't mean you totally disregard other people. No, most decisions that are best for us end up benefiting other people anyway. Because when you're healthier, anyone else who has to interact with you gets a better experience of who you are as a person. And you don't have to walk around faking everything. You don't have to walk around fake smiling. You don't have to walk around fake laughing. You don't have to walk around faking energy when you literally are drained and exhausted and fed up. So I hope this has helped you. I hope this will help you. If you guys feel that this will, please share this far and wide. Share it with your friends. Share it with family members. Share it with people who you think need to understand the importance of boundaries, especially if you feel like you're going to need to set some. You might just want to prep them by giving them this, because a lot of the times when you start setting boundaries where you haven't had any before, people resent it. People feel some type of way. People will use all sorts of languaging to try to shame you or to guilt you or to coerce you or to threaten you or to manipulate you into giving your power away again. Because when you don't set boundaries, you have no power. You have no power or autonomy over your life, over your time, over your emotions, over your mental wellness, and eventually over your physical. All these things are tied together. And they all affect one or the other. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you have, like I said, please share away. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you guys. It's my mom's birthday today, so I will not be coming back on here. My mom is 70 years old today. So I'm about to shut everything down so I can spend quality time with her and celebrate this huge milestone. I love you guys. Please take care of yourselves so that you can better take care of others. Have a great Saturday, guys. Bye.